It's time to rise, repeat, or retreat. This is what we do every single week over the next couple of months. We're going to take a look at every team in a division, and we're going to figure out this year, are we higher on them than they were a year ago right now? So before we went into last season, are we at about the same spot, or are we retreating? So rise, repeat, or retreat. And we're doing this for the AFC East. And we will start with, I think, the easiest team in the AFC East to figure out where we are. The Patriots. A year ago right now, I thought they were going to be the worst team in football and have the first pick in the NFL draft. I'm just going to say that loudly because I was right. And when it happens, I like to toot my own horn and throw my own confetti for my own parade. That being said, now the Patriots over-under on them, 8.5 wins. 8.5 wins on the Patriots. Woo! I mean, we are talking a meteoric rise here, at least in what Vegas expects. Frank, are you rise, repeat, or retreat on the New England Patriots?
I mean, obviously rise for so many reasons. First of all, look, do I think Jared Mayo got done dirty a little bit? Yeah, I do. But the Patriots did get a coach who I really respected, Mike Vrabel. I think that he's perfect fit in New England. I think he's going to be there a long, long time and have a lot of success there. So a big upgraded coach. Drake May is going to be better. He looks like a guy who already elevates talent around him. I think they've done some good things on the offensive line. They had a great draft that way. They have added skill position guys like Stephon Diggs. They in the draft, they added skill position guys who can help them right away. The defense and free agency, they spent a ton of money on that side of the ball. It's hard not to say the Patriots are light years better than they were last season, but 8.5 wins, I was shocked by that because they were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. If the Bills didn't completely lay down in Week 18, they were going to draft number 1 overall. And to get from that point to 9 wins to above 500, that's a huge, huge leap. I'm not there yet with the Patriots. Yes, they are rising. I don't think they're rising to above 500. That's really, really a lot in one season. But the ingredients are there. I like everything they did about this offseason. When I ranked who had the best offseason, I had the Patriots number 1, and it wasn't even really close to number 2. So there's a lot to like about the Patriots. I just wonder how big of a leap they can make this year.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to say that if the premise of this segment is how do we feel about them compared to a year ago, that we feel better about the Patriots compared to a year ago. We didn't know what the quarterback situation was going to be there. As Frank said, I still don't agree with how the Gerard Mayo coaching hire and fire was handled, but I do believe that Mike Vrabel has a lot more experience in that position, and thus there's reason to have more confidence in what he can do and has proven he can do than Gerard Mayo. But the biggest reason is just that a year ago, we didn't know what Drake May was. We didn't know if he was going to play. And then we saw that Drake May was able to weather a lot of the storms last year and play at a relatively high level despite what their record says. And so I think when you add that, you add, hey, Stephon Diggs, I mean, the floor is low given he's coming off an injury, but the ceiling is high for an increase in talent in terms of what they have at their receiving weapons. And I just trust, like Mike Vrabel's defenses, whether or not they're always the most talented group of players, they always have a physicality and toughness that allows them to play a little bit harder and better than this. And so in terms of the win total, to me, the question would be, how lucky are they getting? It sounds silly, but when I look at the first year of Brian Dable and the New York Giants, that was all of those games that they were winning kind of in the last few minutes. Kevin O'Connell had a lot of that with the Vikings too. And part of that is having the grit and the ability to like play in those clutch moments. And part of that is just like how the ball falls for the team. And so I think that, to me, unless they get super lucky, they're probably not going to be over 8.5 wins. But I definitely think they're going to be a more talented team than last year with more wins than their 4 wins last year.
One real quick note on luck and all that. Warren Sharp of sharpfootball.com, this was amazingly smart to me. He ranks the strength of schedule by Vegas win totals. So you go with the Vegas win total. The Patriots have the easiest schedule in the NFL this year, and it's not close to second. They have by far the easiest schedule in the NFL this season. So if you do like them to take this massive, massive leap up to 9-10 wins, well, the schedule's conducive to that.
Yeah, a through line for the entire division, should note. The entire division has these are their opponents this year. They've all pulled the AFC North and the NFC South. AFC North obviously gets a lot more street cred than the NFC South. But to your point, Frank, the additional games for the Patriots are against the other last place teams. So they also get the Titans. They also get the Raiders. They get teams like that. So a lot of love for them in the schedule, depending on how you look at it. I'm much higher on the Patriots today than I was a year ago. Much higher, not even close. And I think Vrabel has made chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what for a long time. It's something he's good at as a coach. His teams rarely come out flat and get embarrassed. That being said, 8.5 feels really rich to me. I think they are far better than where they were a year ago, but to get to 9 seems almost impossible. In fact, that's the same win total projection for the Dolphins, who finished 8-9 last year. And this one's interesting to me because in rise, repeat, or retreat, guys, I feel like I have to, at some point, where there's smoke, there's fire. So even though I don't think that I'm necessarily sitting here saying the Dolphins are falling apart, there's just enough things that make me uncomfortable with where Miami is that it's easy for me to retreat. Jori, where are you on them?
Yeah, I'm definitely retreating on them. I think, first of all, even if Tyreek Hill is still going to be on the roster this year, the fact that he was willing to say after the last game of last season that he didn't want to be suggests that there is discontent brewing. I don't think that was just a one-off moment of emotion. I think that this is a guy who wants to play with a healthy quarterback continuously. And if that happens again, and if the trigger happens again, then he's going to respond in a similar, if not more volatile way. I mean, we have definitely not seen Tyreek Hill be an even-killed player throughout his time in the National Football League. And then you look at Tua Tagovailoa, because again, I know that quarterback isn't the only position on the team, but they have an outsized impact on the performance relative to any other position. And a year ago, we're saying, okay, Tua Tagovailoa is coming off a fully healthy season in 2023. He played all 17 games. They won 11. He led the league with 4,624 passing yards. And just really, most importantly, he was able to do that, be accurate, and not get hurt and not have a concussion. And now we're coming off a year when he had a concussion and additional injuries. And you still owe him everything that you're paying him on the cap. So this is after his extension, when a year ago he had not yet been extended because he got extended during training camp. And it is after more concussions. And so I think that I have a lot of concerns for Tua about his health. I think we all do. I think I have a lot of concerns for the Dolphins on a different level. Obviously, one is like life quality and the other is football performance, about what they're able to do without Tua. I understand they have Zach Wilson and should have potentially a better backup situation, but you really think Tyreek Hill is going to stay quiet if Zach Wilson isn't playing well? I hope for Zach Wilson that, like Sam Darnold and like some of the other prior Jets quarterbacks, hello, Geno Smith, I mean, we know that quarterbacks tend to do better after leaving the Jets. But I just think overall there are a lot of question marks and a lot of people who have showed discontent. And oh, by the way, Jalen Ramsey is probably out the door.
Yeah, there's just so much to dislike about the Dolphins' direction right now. If you think back to a year ago, we all thought the Dolphins were on the rise, like this exciting offense. Well, you look back at what they did 2 years ago when they made the playoffs. I think they beat one winning team that year. And it just makes them look now like kind of paper champions that year, that they beat up on a lot of bad teams. And last year was more their level. And yes, the Tua health stuff is really, really bad. Tyreek, we talk about his discontent and this and that. Tyreek did not look like a very good football player last year, period. And maybe it was wrist. I don't know. But he's had a couple of procedures on that wrist. So we can't even be guaranteed he's back to where he was. I don't think we can just assume that Tyreek bounces back to a 1,700-yard receiver. That guy might not work here anymore. Jalen Ramsey, like you said, he's out the door. All of a sudden, and Mike McDaniel, I have a lot of culture questions coming after last season. Everything just seems bad for the Dolphins now. Like, they are just the team that had a brief moment of, wow, maybe we're going to be good. And now that just went poof and they're gone. And I think the Dolphins are backsliding. They have some serious questions about Tua and what happens to him in the future. Can he stay healthy? I think he's a really, really good player when he's healthy, but that's a big question. Even guys like Devon Achane, who came from a crazy efficient rookie season, was not efficient at all last year. I mean, there's nothing good about the Dolphins right now. There's nothing where you're like, wow, this makes me optimistic. I think absolutely they're retreating, and it's tough to see for Dolphins fans who have waited so long in between playoff wins.
Yeah, I feel the Dolphins are a hell of a lot closer to a rebuild than they are to the playoffs at this point to me. The Bills, 13-4 last year. Frank, you heard me all year last year say, look, the Bills are going to be just fine. Mm-hmm. I'm repeating on the Bills. Is anybody not repeating on the Bills? Is anybody willing to? I can't imagine anyone's rising because 13-4, how do you rise from that? Is anybody retreating the Bills?
Not me. I think the Bills are this is going to be who they are, and they just need the coin to flip on their side in the playoffs one of these times. They've been close. They need the fourth down quarterback sneak to get called a first down, which was inches away. As we all know, as we've all talked about many, many times, this is a solid foundation. Josh Allen is Superman. I don't think they've done a ton to help him, but as they talked about, as Brandon Beane talked about in the offseason, after somebody asked, well, why didn't you get Josh Allen more weapons? He's like, that's stupid. We need defense. We need to get off the field against Patrick Mahomes. So our offense is just fine. We had an MVP quarterback last year, if you don't remember. So I think that the improvements the Bills made on defense is going to help Josh Allen in some way. But yeah, it's hard to get them past where they are. I don't think they're some 15-win team laying in the weight. I just think they're going to be kind of who they are, this AFC East championship team in this 12 to 14 win range, and then you just got to hope that you catch some breaks in the playoffs and get past the Chiefs somehow. That's a big mental block for them, the Ravens, for a lot of teams. But yes, I think the Bills are who they are. They're one of the most predictable teams in the league. We can set our watch, injuries aside, we can set our watch by the Bills being one of the best teams in the NFL, winning the AFC East, being a contender in the playoffs, and they just need to catch some breaks when they get to the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Bills should have every reason to get over the hump this year. I think that this is a team that has shown that it doesn't matter if they lose a player here or there or a coach here or there. Josh Allen is going to be who Josh Allen's going to be. I voted for him for MVP last year, and I think that was because even though I thought Lamar Jackson had the best season, and I voted for Lamar to be my all-pro first team quarterback, I thought that what Josh did relative to the cast he had surrounding him was a whole nother level. More was required of him to perform at the level that he did. And so I think that they just have continued to have a complete team and a stable organization. They've been knocking on the door. And to me, the question is just, can you push through? I mean, I know a couple of years ago when I was there for their their divisional round AFC loss to the Chiefs, it was kind of a, oh my gosh, Sean McDermott. There's almost these little whisperings of can he just never get over the hump? And then in retrospect, I'm like, this guy is getting them there every single year, no matter who's around them. So I continue to feel great about the Bills, and I continue to feel great that with Josh Allen at the helm, they should be right there every year. The question is just when or if they're going to break through.
So where are we on the Jets? 5-12 last year. A year ago, Frank, you knew I thought the Jets were going to suck a year ago. I still think the Jets are going to suck now. So I'm kind of in repeat mode with the Jets, but not everybody was there. So the over-under on this Jets team is 5.5. Compared to where you were a year ago, are you at rise, repeat, or retreat on the Jets, Frank?
Retreat. It's got to be. They went all in on Aaron Rodgers and got beat. They didn't have the best hand. You put all of your resources into trying to make a run with Aaron Rodgers, and you ended up with a 5-win season. It's so I love Aaron Glenn. I even think there's something there with Justin Fields where he might he brings some things to the table, but we all know his limitations as a quarterback. They do have some talented players, but I just think that the malaise of the Jets, it's going to take some time to get over what they tried to do with Aaron Rodgers and how badly they failed. And obviously ownership is just dreadful. So there's that roadblock in their way. I think Aaron Glenn is going to be a good fit there. I think he's going to be a good fit in that market. I think he's going to do good things, but not this year. I think this is going to be a tough year for them. A lot of talent left. Yeah, some of that talent was old, washed up, whatever you want to say. But at the same time, you lost a lot of pieces. This seems like a total rebuild to me. And the fact that Justin Fields is just their guy, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. You could do worse, but I don't know that necessarily he's lifting you up to a playoff season or anything like that. So yes, definitely in retreat mode with the Jets. I don't think this is going to be a good season for them. I think in a couple of years, Aaron Glenn's going to have them better, in a better place, but it's going to take a while, and they're going to need some help from ownership. They're going to need Woody Johnson to get better. That is at the front of the priority list. He doesn't realize it. He doesn't have the self-awareness to realize he needs to get better. He does, and maybe if he does, then the Jets can get out of this just rut they're in. The longest postseason drought in North American professional sports right now. I don't think that changes this year.
I actually also have a lot of questions about the Jets, but this would be a boring episode if we all went the same way. So I'll explain why the Jets have the ability to get over the hump. I think you look at some of these coaches who in their first year have been able to bring this magic. Sometimes it lasts, sometimes it doesn't. And they kind of reset the organization, have that right mentality. Oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers isn't there anymore. So the level of distractions in the locker room and off the field should be a little bit different without the routine discussion of in-house matters on the Pat McAfee show. What I think is interesting to me is that Justin Fields from passer is not the passer that we see with some of the quarterbacks around the league. But when he is with a strong running game, I mean, think about what we saw with Jalen Hurts last year, what Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley could do together. Well, I think Justin Fields and Breece Hall could allow for a different level of running game and a different level of unlocking Justin Fields' dual threat talent than we've seen so far. I also think Aaron Glenn is coming from a team where he saw what the Lions did with some of their offensive line formations, and he can maybe take some of that to this team. And they've been investing a lot of high early picks in that offensive line this year. I mean, I trust their defense to play at a high level. I think they've got a lot of talent on their defense. And to me, the question just was, would the offense get over the hump? A year ago, I did think that they were going to be pretty good. So I'm not as high as I was on them a year ago, because I thought that if Aaron Rodgers came back at even like 70% of what he was, that they could make a move. And I definitely did not expect the level of dysfunction that derailed them. But I think even though I don't feel that more confident than I did a year ago, I do feel like there are reasons why the Jets could surprise us.
All right, so let's do this before we get out of here. We didn't do this last week on the NFC East. You should check out last week's NFC East episode on the pod, by the way. We'll do this every week. Frank, give me the final order from 4 to 1 in this division. From worst to first, how does this division end up?
I think Bills are easily the number one team here. I'll take the Patriots second. I think they got the best roster out of the other three. I will take the Dolphins third, and I'll hope that Tua stays healthy. And then I just think the Jets are in for a long, long season, so I'll go fourth on them.
All right. So what do you got, Jory? Give me how do you see it? How do you see it playing out?
I mean, to me, Bills easily number 1, Patriots 2, Jets 3, Dolphins 4.
Okay.
Poor Dolphins.
That's
Poor
great. Dolphins all the way to the 4. By the way, the current BetMGM odds have Bills 1, Dolphins 2, Patriots 3, Jets 4. I don't think it ends up that way. I'm going to go Bills 1, Patriots 2, Dolphins 3, Jets 4. And Jets, I'll be the lone one that takes the Jets stance. I think the Jets are going to be in a very good spot to try and get the first pick in the draft next year. Sorry, Jets fans. I don't root for anybody to suck to that level, but I think the Jets could end up there as part of this reset for the organization. You should, again, check out the NFC East last week, and every single week we'll be going through different divisions, so it's worth checking out with us every single week. Follow us on social media. If you've listened this far, rate, review, subscribe. Be sure you do all of that. It helps us out a ton. Make sure you tell your friends and family about the podcast, too. Everybody needs to join in with us. In the meantime, thanks to Stone, Madison, everybody behind the scenes that puts this show together every single week. We'll be back next Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us.